Hi, welcome back to Heal Your Energy. My name is Kanini. In this episode, we are going to look at the story of this man called Shapeshifter, this transitioning. He transitioned into female and now detransitioning back into male. And he has a few problems, but let's look at the story and I'll comment and react to the story. And you feel free to add your comments below. I'm always curious about what you think. So let's just dive right into this. So let's do it.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So part of your kind of transition horror story here is that you have a neovagina that isn't working properly, you have osteoporosis
And scoliosis.
and scoliosis.
That was one
So
yeah.
can you talk about that?
I mean, it's transphobic to say, but after I've been through the system, I 100% feel like I was part of some cruel medical and social experiment. Except for nobody checked on me, and if I offed myself, I would not even be included in any statistics. I'm sure they would just write me off as some other issues. None of the people who gave me letters, surgeries. Moreover, I've spent thousands of dollars. I've traveled across the country, did all the consults trying to get help. So every time I went to consults, I entered my history, my information. None of those people are studying like the transitioners. So when trans community says regret rate is 1% and complication rate is 1%, that's bullshit.
It is
Bullshit, and you guys need to hear this. But what they don't really tell you is that the body treats you as a wound.
It tries to close up.
Yes, constantly trying to close up. In my case, it started shutting down right away pretty much. So I got a revision. Like a few months later, I was back on operating table and I got blamed at the time that like you didn't dilate enough, even though I was religiously dilating and I couldn't understand it, just patient blame pretty much. Now that I talk to other people, it's the same happened to them, that's what they don't tell you,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it's like, so they kept on blaming me for not dilating enough, and so they did the surgery, which they just opened me back up, and they're like, you have 8 inches, congrats, and I was like excited. So I drove back to Massachusetts, and by the time I got home, pretty much, I already lost 1 inch, I couldn't dilate back up, it was like...
Okay, so she's saying that they cut off her reproductive organs, like the penis and the testicles, and they tried to create a vaginal opening that was initially 8 inches. So she starts off with a good 8 inches. So they're trying, because she's biologically male, they are trying to open up her body, but the body does not want to open, because this is not something natural for men. The body wants to close. So if you're thinking that, hey, I want to become a female and they're going to give me, a vaginal opening, the body does not want to open up. The body wants to close. So even if they start with a huge opening, it'll keep closing and closing. And, that's one thing. So if you wanted a vaginal opening, no vaginal opening for you. You will have to stick with the 1 inch, and you hope that it doesn't close back.
It's like,
oh my gosh.
Okay, I'm gonna save the 7 inches, that's plenty, and I was like putting stents in me, driving a car with a dildo inside of me and with tight panties, like to the point that I couldn't even pee. And then my back started hurting like 2020. I thought it was a mattress issue. I kept on like, oh my god, my back hurts so much. If I sit up, then I went to chiropractor, and he was like, you have scoliosis. And again, like my paperwork is female, so and again, I'm like, don't want to tell like random people that don't need to know that I'm trans, it's like, and he will.
So this is what I don't get. I don't get the connection between scoliosis and transitioning, because this is a posture issue. This is the your spine. Sometimes your spine curves. I'm not saying I know everything. I'm just saying that it probably is hormonal related. Maybe she got scoliosis because of her hormones. There was an imbalance. I don't know. But I have scoliosis, and I know a lot of women who have scoliosis. So I don't think it's kind of related to this whole thing of transitioning. She says like, her paperwork, she wanted to show that she was she was biologically male, but she didn't want to say it in front of everybody, at the doctor's appointment. But I'm like, what does that have to do with scoliosis? I could be wrong. But again, I don't see the connection. I don't see any connection here. But that's why I feel like if you're going to transition, you need to know, like, what scope does it affect your medical history and what scope doesn't, because you could be having a headache and it could be related to the transition that you made, or it may not be related to the transition that you made. So I mean, we don't know here. She doesn't explain it. So if you think there's a connection between this transitioning and scoliosis, leave me a comment below. I want to explore it. I want to hear about it.
Was like, I guess if I told him earlier, he would have put two and two together that maybe it was hormone related. But then I did some more research and I ended up going for that final bone scan in 2021 maybe. I realized I had like osteoporosis in my spine. It's pretty bad, but honestly, my story is not as bad because there's other detrans males. I don't know, will I have time, but like they have it worse. There's people who have no sensation in their like groin.
I saw a viral post from another detransitioner who said that you could literally stab his genitals with a knife and there is no sensation.
Yeah, Richie.
And that is so, like, I don't think people understand, like, for years as a trans person, I've been asked, like, my reasons for not wanting the surgery, etc. And people are like, well, yeah, maybe you won't be able to orgasm anymore. In their mind, their head goes to, like, will you be able to still come afterwards? The reality is, for some people, and you're saying for yourself, you can't even have sex. You have had a sex change, and now you cannot have sex.
Yeah, it was not a fair trade at all, so...
Okay, so they say that they are having problems having sex after transitioning because sometimes you don't have any feeling. So that, orgasmic feeling of after you have sex, imagine that dying completely for the rest of your life. That you have no feeling. That's very sad. That requires a moment of silence. It's very, very sad. So let me see what, if like there was somebody who, the person they're saying, no feelings.
A commitment for a life. You're going to have to rely on doctors for the rest of your life. Hi everyone. Hi, I hope you're having a super duper great day. I haven't been on here for a while, so happy New Year's, Merry Christmas and everything like that. I just needed some time away, some time to relax, but I'm back. As you can see in the title, there's a lot to unpack in this video, so I'm just going to get started right away. 2 months, 2.5, 3 months, I'm not entirely sure on the timeline, but around that time I had my second SRS revision surgery. And for those who aren't aware, the SRS, the gender reassignment surgery, is the bottom surgery since I am a trans woman and I transitioned 10 years ago, and a few months ago, as I said, I had my second SRS revision. But basically what happened, I started having issues urinating, and it was like this whole ordeal, and it was painful, and I kind of had this problem for a year, and then I had a surgery to get better, and that surgery, as I said, I had 2 months ago. And since that revision, I haven't really been on here a lot and talked about it, so I'm basically going to tell you everything about the issue for me, or issues or complications and everything that kind of comes with having this surgery. Happy that I had the surgery and that it went well, but yeah, I had complications and I kind of talked about that. And then after a year, I had my first revision, and that revision, I haven't actually disclosed what that revision was about, so I'm going to, once and for all, tell you about it. But what happened was I was basically too tight, and I couldn't dilate, so they had to kind of open me up a little bit, and also just like a fixer-upper kind of surgery. So yeah, that was the first revision. And then I kind of lived as normal. I had a few pains and aches, and I've talked about this before, that even like 5 years down the road, I still had some pains, and I still have some pains in that area today. I can be doing something, just like watching a movie, and then like all of a sudden I feel like pain down there, and I always get a little taken aback, because it's just like sometimes the pains are very painful, and sometimes they're just like uncomfortable, if that makes sense. So they still happen. However, they're fairly uncommon these days, but they still do occur. But then came the second revision, and I have talked about this, so I'm just going to keep it short and simple. But what basically happened, I had trouble urinating. I kind of walked around with it for a year before I seeked help, because I was just very embarrassed, and I didn't really disclose it on my YouTube channel that I had these issues. I just kind of kept it to myself. But yeah, then I went to the doctors, and they tried to help me with different things, and I had to go through some I just have to say this before I keep talking, or before I get further into everything. Don't have the surgery if you're not 100% sure that this is something that you want.
Guys, don't have the surgery. Just don't have it. You cannot be 100% sure of something that you don't know about, especially if you're 19 or below, or even less than 25 years old. You don't know what happens to your life 5 years down the line. Right here she described that phantom limb pain. Sometimes you just feel pain. Because the body is trying to send signals to that area of the body that you cut off, right? But in sending, everything, blood, oxygen, to an area that no longer exists. So it's gonna hurt. It's going to hurt. These things they don't tell you when you're 18, 17, 12. You're trying to be God.
I'm just going to put it out there. I'm not trying to discourage you, because I didn't have a choice. I went through
I am trying to discourage you. Don't do it.
This surgery because I didn't have a choice in this world. I had to go through with the surgery because I couldn't keep on living the way that I did. I hated my life before, and I hated my body, and my gender dysphoria was so bad. I didn't have a choice at all. It was like that or not be here, to put it simply. I had to have the surgery, and thank God it went pretty well. I mean, there are girls that have 0 issues and 0 complications and like amazing, like you do you, boo, but that is not me. Never me. So yeah, I'm just saying thank God that I didn't have severe complications.
There is no one with 0 complications. If they say that, they're lying to you. It's not possible to have 0 complications in this type of a surgery. They'll be lying to you. All the time. They'll be lying to you.
I have had a few, and I'm still living with them. So I'm not regretting the surgery. I'm just trying to really let you know that it's important to be 110% sure that this is something that you want, because you can never go back. This is not something to just do. It's like one thing and then it's like done and simple. It's very much a commitment for a life. You're going to have to rely on doctors for the rest of your life. If this is something that you really want, like, go ahead and do it, because honestly, yes, there are complications, and there are complications with every surgery out there. But if this could change your life and save your life, like, go ahead and do it. But I'm just like trying to really tell you, don't have this surgery if you're not 100% sure. But what happened, as I said, I had trouble urinating. I went to the doctors, they tried to help me, and they had to do things that was not enjoyable at the slightest. I had to dilate, and I had to try to open my urethra up, and it was just like, yeah, I'm going to start crying, honestly, if I have to tell you about it, so I'm not going to. It was a hard time, okay? I'm just letting you know it was not...
If she can't even talk about it, it means that is very, very traumatizing. Trying to open someone's urethra up and somebody telling you you're not dilating, your body is not meant to dilate. That part of the body is not meant to dilate. It's not her fault that she's not dilating. She's not meant to dilate. These people are playing with your body, trying to open up a part of your body that's not meant to be open. Of course, it'll shut up. You're going to try to keep, it's like blowing a balloon. The air will come out eventually, and the balloon will go back to its normal size. But the urethra is so tiny. I can't even imagine the horror.
Not enjoyable at all, and I'm just not going to talk about it, because, like, I don't know why I'm getting emotional. It was hard. That's just what I'm saying. But anyways, after the surgery, I had bleeding, which is pretty obviously, like, obviously you're going to bleed after surgery, but that is what happened. I had bleedings maybe like a few, like 1, 2, 3 days after the surgery, which is pretty normal. And I had pain. And I've heard that this is a pretty common complication, even years down the line. As I said, I had my SRS 10 years ago, and I've been living pretty complication-free for a long time. But then all of a sudden, I just had problem peeing again. And this can happen even years down the line. And so that's what I'm basically telling you, that you might be, dependent on doctors for the rest of your life, not only when it comes to dilation and everything like that, but also checkups, issues that can occur. And they told me that if it started again, I had to do another surgery, and that surgery was worse, or it was like a bigger surgery.
So it actually never stops. And what we are not thinking about here is this is a person who needs to have a job, work, pay bills, pay for this surgery. And I don't know if this you can put on your insurance. I don't know. So if you're doing this, you at least should be loaded with some money, because now it means that you're in constant threat of your life is probably, now you're in complete survival mode, because if you're not able to pee, that means you're not able to remove waste out of your system, and you could die from that, from the toxic. We're talking about huge things here. You wanted a small problem solved, and now you have a big problem. You have a big problem. You have the phantom limb pain. You cannot pee. And this is just the medical stuff, right? We are not talking about what it will do to your social life and how that's going to affect your mental health.
And now, a few months after, it's like back, and I'm getting pretty sick of this. For the last 2 weeks, I would say, I've been having troubles again, and I'm going to talk to my doctor in a few weeks. I have a date already scheduled, but I am so tired of basically being reminded that I'm different all the time. It's just hard. It kinda makes me dysphoric in a way. I'm tired of being reminded that I had this surgery to begin with. Basically my normal everyday life, I don't talk about these things. I feel like everyone else, but then once in a while I am reminded once again that there are issues with me and that I'm just like, and I'm just tired. That's what I'm saying.
I feel her pain. Nobody wants to go in and out of hospital for the rest of their lives. Good health is a blessing. Good health is a blessing. So before you do this kind of surgery, remind yourself, you should not be playing God. And this is going to affect your health. This is going to affect your health. The doctors are giving you what you want because this is what you requested. They don't care whether it's good for you or bad. It's like, oh, another client. Let's serve the client. What else do they need now? Another one? Okay, let's just dilate them. What else does she need? Oh, okay. All right, we'll just dilate her like we did last time, and then she can go home. That's the attitude. Don't expect that they're like, oh, okay. No, they know that, they can change you into female. They were just doing it to see if you'd be happy. But if you're in pain, they're like, it comes with the territory. This is what it takes. Some of them don't even know, how the consequences. They don't think about it that hard. Your doctor will do surgery for you and then go on a vacation. They had a client. They're happy.
So yeah, this is basically the whole truth. Complications can happen, and they did for me. And I'm grateful and happy that they're not that severe, but still, the first year of having the surgery, I had infections, I had problems, I had pains, and now, 10 years down the line, I still feel like, come on, what is happening? Just, give me a break. Complications like this can occur. And the truth is, don't have the surgery if you're not willing to kind of live with the complications that might occur to you. And I'm not saying this to discourage you. As I said, I'm so happy that I went through with the surgery, and I have a fiance now. And
basically, this is the way to tell somebody, I'm discouraging you, but I don't want you to feel bad about it. But I would tell you not to do it. Don't do it. Who wants to be in pain for 10 years, right? 10 years, you wanted to solve the same problem that you wanted to solve, but you haven't been able to solve it. Because, if you have gender dysphoria, I still have it right now. Why are we doing this?
And I have a life, and I have the life that I've always wanted. I live like everyone else for the most part. So yeah, I'm still very happy that I went through with that, but I still live with the complications to this day, and it's hard, and that's why I'm making this video, to just kind of give you a heads up. I don't want to come across like I am telling you not to go through with the surgery, because I'm not. If you have no choice, and if this will make you happy, I promise you that it will probably make you happy.
You see, she thought the surgery would make her happy, just like you think that this surgery is going to make you happy. But this surgery brought her pain, and this surgery will bring you pain. Lots of it. And 10 years down the line, you will still feel the same feelings that you're feeling right now. So I'm saying, don't do it. Learn to love yourself. Find another way to love and accept yourself, because whatever you're going through is psychological. You can tell yourself new words. You can tell yourself new things. You can actually tell yourself every day, I love myself the way I am. You can read the Word of God. The Word of God is gold. For me, it has taught me self-love, self-respect, boundaries. It just gives you a whole kind of new spirit. You can learn all this. She's basically telling you, don't do it. If somebody is telling you don't do it unless you're 100% sure, they're telling you don't do it. It's like they're telling you, don't jump off that bridge. Don't jump off that bridge.
Happy, but there are complications with every surgery, and I'm a living proof of that. So that's basically what I'm saying. It's better than it was before the surgery, but still it's not as good as it was like the first month after having the surgery. So the revision, I mean, this was just like me having to tell you everything I feel. But yeah, thank you so much for.
So, and plus they didn't tell me there was a study done in Sweden where it showed that suicide probability went up. You can bleep out that word. Sorry, I said it. But I wish somebody told me, like one of the therapists, like you can do this, but you will more likely to off yourself after this, according to certain studies. Why is it all hidden online and nobody talks about it? Why do people have to look for it themselves?
So she says that you are more likely to off yourself. It means that you're more likely to kill yourself, commit suicide after the surgery. Because like that lady before, imagine being in pain. The phantom limb pain is a lot. Nobody told you about it, but this is something that you have to live with it for a long time. And you have to constantly go to hospital, get reminded every day that you are born male, you tried to become female and it backfired. Now we still have to keep doing all these dilations. It's nice if you find somebody who loves you and who wants to be your lifelong companion, but they'll have to deal with your medical condition. And, sex will not be wonderful. And you will regret this surgery because you made it when you're so young without understanding the impact that it's going to take. Why are you doing this surgery? Why? Nobody has a gun to your head. Do it. Why are you doing it? You're just looking for people who affirm the same condition that you want, not anybody who's telling you anything different. And that is why the problem that you have will not go away, because if you don't want to hear somebody telling you something different, if you don't want somebody who has a different idea from you, even when you're actually going to make a decision that's going to self-harm, it becomes a huge problem.
So this is like really intense for me through all this, obviously. And it's so interesting because obviously we're coming from different sides of the coin to where like transition was a correct decision for me, and trying to place myself in the shoes of someone who it's not is very emotional. Like, I'm so sorry this has happened to you. I don't know what else to say. I mean, you've had the surgery. What does it feel like to miss your penis?
Honestly, I didn't miss it up until I started, I missed it, but I couldn't admit it to myself. It was like a sunk cost fallacy. And then I started having phantom limb thing happening. I would wake up in the morning and have dreams about having a penis. And then I would wake up and not have it. And it was just such a mirror situation because When I was convinced I was a woman, I was like remembering how I was a kid waking up dreaming I had a vagina.
Well, let's talk about the phantom limb thing, because that phantom limb thing is more than what she is saying. It's one of those things when you have pain and it keeps happening. You could be washing your dishes, then you still have pain down there where the penis was, because the body is remembering that you have a penis even though you cut it off. The body still thinks it's there. And the same thing would go if we amputated your arm. You would have that pain because the body thinks that you still have an arm, but you don't have an arm. So you would still have that pain, you know? So it's not just a dream that you have a penis. Yes, your subconscious mind might still think that you have a penis, but the body will also behave as if you still have a penis. So might send you sexual signals and you will not be able to perform, but it's acting as if you have it. And some people will have like this feeling where they feel like they're ejaculating on their legs or on their waist, because it's not there, but the body doesn't know that, because it has already you've already have these neural connections that are wired in you, in your subconscious mind, in your nervous system, in your neural networks, that you cannot take away just because you cut something off. Sometimes it goes away, sometimes it takes forever, sometimes it doesn't. So this is something you have to be aware of, and you live with the consequences of that pain for a long time, if not forever.
And now I'm like, I wish I could go back. I made a huge mistake, but I realized I will never be able to get back my penis, and it's very traumatic realization, and it's super sad. I mean, I don't want to like a pity party, but it is sad. Like, I mean, my life kind of, I could have been so much more vibrant person and could have accomplished so much more,
And have sex. You have had a sex change, and now you cannot have sex.
Yeah, it was not a fair trade at all. So, and
Yeah.
When you hear somebody say it's not a fair trade, it's not a fair trade, all these women that we've seen so far, it's a running thread. This should not have happened. This should not have happened under the guidance of somebody with a brain. This should not have happened if the doctors were, ethical. It should not have happened. This should not have happened. If she knew better, this would not have happened. And they're selling a product of gender reassignment. They cannot reassign your gender. It's a complete fail. They cannot reassign your gender. They are lying to you about the product that they are giving you. The product that you want does not exist. They want to play God, but they are not. They cannot do it without long life consequences that you're gonna hate. And you think about why people are killing themselves once they transition, is because they realize their whole life they messed up their whole life. It's effed up, and sometimes they're not able to live with the consequences of the decisions that they have made, and they'd rather not be here, and they want to delete themselves. Don't do it. If you haven't done it, don't do it. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Plus, they didn't tell me there was a study done in Sweden where it showed that suicide probability went up. You can bleep out that word. Sorry I said it. But I wish somebody told me, like one of the therapists, like you can do this, but you will more likely to off yourself after this, according to certain studies. Why is it all hidden online and nobody talks about it? Why do people have to look for it themselves?
So this is like really intense for me to hear all this, obviously. It's so interesting because obviously we're coming from different sides of the coin to where like transitioning was a correct decision for me, and trying to place myself in the shoes of someone who it's not is very emotional. Like, I'm so sorry this has happened to you. I don't know what else to say. I mean, you've had the surgery. What does it feel like to miss your penis?
So they've had different surgeries. So the brunette did not have the complete gender, like the bottom surgery for gender reassignment. But this other lady, the blonde, did. So these are two different women. They have a different experience. One is just dressing and presenting as a woman, and the other one has gone through the bottom surgery for gender reassignment, which, she's like, that was a fail. I never should have
I
done
wish
it.
I could go back. I made a huge mistake, But I realized I will never be able to get back my penis, and it's very traumatic realization, and it's super sad. I mean, I don't want to like a pity party, but it is sad. Like, I mean, I've my life kind of. I could have been so much more vibrant person. I could have accomplished so much more, And I do miss my full sex drive, and I honestly can't even take too much testosterone because it will give me more sexual desires, and I can't really experience all that because it's traumatic. And honestly, moving forward, I don't even know like what hormones I'm gonna be on. And I told them that I was not happy with my transition. I was trying to get in touch with one of the therapists who gave me letters, and nobody even gave me his email. So yeah, it's like they really don't care. It's like they don't want to even know. Because why? It's a big industry. All the surgeons.
And it only is a bad look for them to have a patient say, I regret this.
Right, because it doesn't align with the general narrative. Because it will make a lot of people reconsider if that's the right step for them.
I think if you go to a therapist and you're like, if I don't do this, I'll kill myself, blah, 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 but you make all this drama, the therapist is like, I want to keep you alive. So they sign off a paper and they're like, okay, then I approve of this surgery. And then you go to the surgeon. And the surgeon is like, oh, you already spoke to the therapist? And this was the thing to do? Then we are going to do it. The surgeon is not thinking that they need to advise you on what's going to happen after the surgery. And most surgeons, they don't do it because they don't want to scare you. If you've noticed that if you want to do any kind of cosmetic surgery, they usually don't tell you the consequences of the surgery because they might scare you into not doing a surgery. Nobody wants to do surgery. Like for me, I had to do eye surgery, and for years, more than 20 years, I could not bring myself to go to a surgeon to do my eye surgery just because I just hate going under the knife. I was like, what if they mess up my eyes more than I hoped? Because I'm thinking they're cutting my body, they're cutting it up, and I don't know how precise they'll be with their measurements and everything. So they don't want to tell you about the consequences, about the healing journey, to scare you. They want to take it in strides. But with this type of surgery, where you're cutting off a limb, cutting off your penis is like cutting off your arm. I think so many men would rather you cut off their arm, but not cut down their penis, because their penis is, who they are. Their arm, they can live without. So, this is huge. to not have the surgeon tell you the effects of your surgery after, that you may never ever be able to heal. You may never ever have an opening. There's not going to be a vaginal opening. It's not going to happen. So depressing to even think about it. Imagine living with the consequences.
I wish somebody hugged me a few years back and be like, you know what, you can present feminine, you can wear heels, hair, whatever you want, but the sad reality, we don't have technology to make you an actual woman.
So you wish someone would have stopped you from transitioning?
I wish, and my parents tried to, but they were not in America, and they just told me like, it was more of a religious spin, but at the time I was not willing to listen to them. They just said, in the Muslim religion it's haram. They said it's like you're going against God. But if one of medical professionals said, like, I just feel so angry. I feel like These people didn't have my best interests.
You see, she trusted the medical professionals more than the voice of God. And the medical professionals, she says, they did not have her best interest. And this is what I have come to learn as a Christian, that the voice of God and the voice of people is usually sometimes in opposition, and the voice of God has your best interest, so you got to decide which voice you're going to have to listen to. But the voice of God always has your best interest. For example, the voice of God tells you, okay, thou shalt not have any other God but me. That means that do not put the opinion of a doctor ahead of the opinion of God. If God says that you're fearfully and wonderfully made, those are the words that should rule your head. You know, there is nothing wrong with the way God created you. People may treat you different, but you are lovable the way you are. That's the voice of God. That's the voice of the universe telling you you're one of a kind. You're a snowflake. Since time has begun, there'll never be anybody like you who look like you. You're unique. But if you want to appease society, you will never get to that sweet spot where, you know, like people love you for who you are. We just have to accept ourselves the way we are. We just have to. It's not a choice. It's an must. You know, the way you physically are, you must accept yourself the way you are. You're beautiful the way you are, because that's what God says. And you just have to run with that truth. And don't wait for the doctor, your boyfriend, your mother, your parents to approve of who you are. If you want to be happy, you take happiness, you know, by the balls, and you run with it.
They never tackled my childhood traumas. They never dove deeper. They just assumed that was like, they affirmed me, you know, into this, I believe in, into self-harm.
That's what's so dangerous, right? Is that we have these affirming therapists and doctors now who have every incentive in the world to say, yes, you are trans, this is the issue you're struggling with, rather than try to see if there's another cause. And a lot of times there is another cause. In your case, there were more causes that weren't looked at.
But I think when you...
So they never go into deep, in this video, they never go into deep about what his traumas are when he's going through all this. But I'm just going to say, for me, when I listened to this story, as he began saying that he would wake up and dream that he was a girl and that he didn't have any male organs in him, there's a level of self-hate that for me immediately, and I'm not even a therapist, that I pick on. Like, if you're dreaming that you're a girl and you don't want to have your male body parts, it means that there's a level of self-hate. And that kind of self-hate must come with a level of trauma, right? It has to come with a level of trauma, you know? And I'm going to go with sexual trauma because of the part of the world that he is coming from. You know, you may not believe this, but I have heard from one of my friends, and he was in Afghanistan, and he worked in some of those Arab countries, in a war, and he was saying that there was this running thread that there are a lot of men who believe that men are for pleasure and women are for giving birth. And when you see the level of boys being abused because of that kind of mentality, that is huge. So I'm going here, given the culture and given the fact that he hates his body parts when he is so young, it means that there was a level of sexual abuse, rape, and molestation in this story, and that alone for me would be enough to tell somebody, let's not go the transitioning route, because these are traumas that we can heal through NLP, through language, the kind of language that he uses to describe his body. Those are things that you can change. When you heal trauma on a very, very deep level, these are things that can be changed. And that's why I want to just point this out, because you might be there, you've been raped, you've been molested, and you hate your body, you don't like the way it is. This is a kind of trauma therapy that you can heal from. I know it feels like it's not possible, but there is no need to do this horrific surgery, and there is no need to live with that pain, because once you draw closer, even once you start drawing closer to God, He protects you. Once you even start reading about the Word of God and having a personal relationship with God, not what other people are telling you out there. And I know a lot of people who are, therapists who don't believe in God will not tell you to go read the Bible closely. Mostly is because we have come into this culture where people want to give you the solution that you want, not the solution that you need. So if you tell somebody that you don't believe in God, they will not push you into that direction. Even if that direction could help you, they will not push you, because they're like, well, they're not open to it. Why should I? I don't want to upset them further. And that's the problem, is because I don't want to upset you, I will give you the solution that you want. And this is dangerous. Imagine you come to me as a financial analyst and you tell me, I saw so many people, they just bought crypto and I just want to buy crypto. I want to put all my life savings into crypto because I know some people I heard on the internet and they did this, they invested in crypto and they got rich overnight, and that's what I want to do. And I tell you, well, as a financial analyst, I don't think in that type of investment would help you. I think it's too risky. And you're like, no, this is what I want. And then I end up telling you, okay, since that's what you want, that's what we are going to do. And then the next day, everything crashes and you're broke. Nothing. You're not left with anything. And then you come to me and I tell you, well, I gave you the solution that you wanted because you wanted this solution. I didn't want it, but you're the client and I gave you the solution that you wanted. So in essence, what's the point of coming to somebody who is a professional and you're going to do what you want anyway? If we tell you that this is haram, God doesn't want it, it means that God is good, so it's not good for you. But you insist on your own way. Well, people don't give you that solution because you don't want it, right? You don't want it. And, sometimes I think this is when humility is important. When you think, maybe I don't know everything. Maybe I need to be led. Maybe I need to be guided by the Word of God. Maybe this might help me. Maybe my problems are solvable. Maybe God can solve some of them. At least having that point in your life where somebody can influence you in a different direction, that would be good. For me, I don't like people being wishy-washy when it comes to something that's very important. I'm not gonna tell you, oh, maybe it's okay, it will solve your problem to transition. No, it's not gonna solve your problem to transition. You're going to have more problems, but in the interest of pleasing you, we are going to tell you, do what makes you happy, which is the worst advice that I've heard people tell young people these days, because young people don't even know what will make them happy. They know what they think will make them happy, and they don't ever see the consequences. So
people need to go back to a science lab and figure out and have better structured definition of what true trans is. And this is not gatekeeping. We're in trouble. Like there's already so many kids that regret it, you know?
And what's so wrong with gatekeeping?
Yes, it's like, this is the only medical situation where you get to choose your own treatment plan. Like, what the hell? You get to choose, like, you just want to be on hormones?
That's such a great point.
Or do you want to take it further with bottom surgery? It's like, they should study and be like, okay, in these people, bottom surgery didn't work, or maybe bottom surgery doesn't work. Maybe social presenting helps a lot of people. Honestly, I enjoy presenting feminine. Like, it doesn't bother me. I enjoy it. Like,
so someone should have explained to you that it's okay for you to do that without getting anything irreversible done to you.
Right, or even changing my paperwork. I feel like a lot of it was escaping male violence, because I was always in an effed up way. I felt like I had the surgery. Psychologically, I knew I was never going to be accepted by other men as a man, and maybe it was my way to gain acceptance looking like a woman, you know? And it's like, it's almost like I had the surgery to cater towards patriarchy, but they also like didn't even give me good results, so I can't cater towards them. Like, it's like, really, people? And
that's shocking when she says that it's like she had surgery to cater to patriarchy. So meaning to cater to other men who don't think that he looks masculine enough. So this is being driven by the males coming from that society, you know. And so I wonder why, you know. I wonder why, because the males don't like you because you're gay. Is that why? And then how did you get to that point? Was it because you were molested as a child? These are questions that we need to ask ourselves, right? So is it because you're not an alpha male, or what separates you from being a beta from an alpha? These are so complicated questions, you know, but should they justify irreversible surgery that's going to cause you pain for the rest of your life? Is that what you think you deserve instead? These are questions that if you're going to transition, that you kind of have to ask yourself. But I feel like the devil is very deceptive in trying to make you hate yourself. And once you get that mind where you hate yourself, it starts to damage your life slowly but surely. And this is what I like to tell people. If you already hate yourself, you're in a survival state of mind. And the decisions and the way you're going to make that decisions, you're going to make those decisions as a victim in that frame of mind. And that doesn't help you. This just makes things worse and worse and worse. And I think we don't have people in society saying, you can't keep doing these decisions. Don't. When people on the right tell people on the left that this is not okay, you know, we are frowned upon because we are too religious. But even if you look at the science and medical evidence about the hormones, about the phantom limb pain, you know, about, for me, even just going to the bathroom in public places, I don't want to go in public bathrooms. I can imagine if I have a wound that might get infected, I might not even want to get out of the house. Is somebody talking about this?
All the men that worked on me are just straight men as far as I know. And it's like, oh, really, people, you couldn't even give me... That's another thing. Like, they literally, after multiple surgeries, they couldn't even give me a few inches that stay open. Not even 3 inches. Like, I literally have 1 inch depths right now. And it's like, really, people? Honestly, this transition, like, I lost so many family members. You know, like, I haven't seen my grandma in years. And they loved me no matter what I was, you know, in their own way. My grandma always loved me. But I can't show myself to her because she always wanted me to have children. I mean, she will have a heart attack if she sees me, so she may pass away and I will never see her. But now the family that was here, that was supportive of me, that live in America, the family that lives in America, now the transition is pulling me further away from them because first of all, they're confused. Third of all, like, I feel a little angry. I just feel like they affirmed my delusions. And honestly, I feel a little angry towards them. I know it's not their fault. Like, I own the fact that I signed on a dotted line.
So this is the thing, and I'm glad that she calls it what it is. It's a delusion. It's a delusion. You're confused. You're making a lifelong decision without weighing the consequences. It is a delusion. She calls it a delusion herself because they have formed a decision that will make her lonely. She's not able to have children. Most of us would want to be in a family setting with somebody that loves us. If possible, you want to have children if you're financially able to do so. Most people want to have children. And when you are young, you might think, I don't want children, but then you might change your mind. And you have a right to change your mind. But if you do, but you already had your penis cut off, your testes cut off, it doesn't matter if you change your mind. You still have to just live with the fact that you made that mistake and it's done. And she's saying, she wishes somebody did not affirm her delusions. And I completely agree with her. I don't see it any other way. So what I'm saying is, if you're going to transition, after you hear everything that we've discussed, everything we've talked about, that's on you. That's on you. This is a decision that you should never consider. In my opinion, this is a decision that you should never, ever, ever consider. Especially now that you see that the people who made this decision are coming and telling you it's painful, you go at a loss, there is no other way of saying it, that it's not a fair exchange. You will still not become female if you are born male, and you will never ever become male if you are born female. You're deluding yourself. Especially for women, if you cut off your boobs, all that it means is that your children will never be able to, have the opportunity of having colostrum and all the benefits of the antibiotics that come from the fast breast milk. You're making all these decisions for your children's health. You're not even thinking about, because what really does a 16-year-old know and think about? You shouldn't make these decisions. These are mature decisions. If you wanted to do it past the age of 60, then wait until then. But I'm very sure you'll be smart enough, because who doesn't want to pee in a comfortable way? Just going to the bathroom if you have to pee. And this is something that you do all the time because you have to drink water. Small things like this, that you just have to kind of use common sense. But at 16, we can expect you to even use them. We expect that the people around you, can influence you.
I was just a traumatized kid. Like, my sister, she grew up with me. She knew the conditions we grew up in. She knew that, I was traumatized. But again, she was she's way younger than me. There's no way she could have known. But they kind of, didn't protect me from myself. So honestly, this is even more isolating. So now, some of my trans-identified friends, that also had complications. Because when I posted that video years ago, I had a lot of people reach out to me, and they're still, I was like them, I was convinced that I was just a trans woman with complications. But now that I realize I'm not a woman, I was always just a man who got suckered into this. It's almost like I lost the little community that I had, Because now I kind of joined the other side because I was not being heard. But we're still in minority, even between reasonable trans people like you, Buck, between some LGBT people such as Ariel Scarcella. We're still in minority. I don't know how we're gonna stop this in tracks. I mean, there's changing things in Florida. There is certain transitioners that are going and trying to testify. There's the trans man Abel Garcia. He's flying to Florida to speak on the behalf of the trans man, to show that the surgeries are not safe. But it's being done at state levels one by one, and we may lose an entire generation of kids and youths that don't need any of the surgeries. We're just making these greedy surgeons rich. After being through systems, the surgeons don't care about us. They really don't. For them, we're just a meal ticket.
Yes, I'll end this here. Unfortunately, that's the sad reality. You are just a meal ticket for these surgeons. They don't care. Once they've done your surgery, they'll go on a vacation to the Bahamas, very happy with the money, and they'll talk about it probably as a joke. Oh, she came here, I just cut it off, and then I did this, and then I'll revisit her maybe in March, try to expand her, urethra, it's going to close up. They know all these things, they have done it over and over. And if they're not telling you, you're the one who's being suckered into all these things. You're the one that they're experimenting on. It's very immoral. Yes, it shouldn't be happening, but it is. And I always remember the part of the Bible that says, in the last days, many will be deceived. And if you don't think the Bible is true, well, let's go back to the book of Genesis. God created a man and a woman, and he knew that it was good. And it was very, very good. When he created the woman, it was very, very good. So you are good the way you are. Love yourself the way you are. There is no mistake. You're one of a kind. You're a snowflake. If you have problems with your emotions and your mental state because you don't love yourself, we all grow up and we become insecure one way or another. You're like, you don't feel like you're good enough. Let's go through therapy. Let's go through therapy that helps us understand how to love ourselves. If we have trauma, we can heal from trauma. You can heal from childhood trauma. You can heal from it. And the doctor may not be able to heal you, but I can promise you the word of God, when he puts his spirit in you, you're going to be healed. I have faith. I have a lot of faith. And even if you go into this new age movement, you go into science and everything, they'll tell you whatever you believe is so important. This is why faith can move a mountain. And you think, oh, I will not be able to love myself. Have faith in the fact that you can love yourself if you put in the right program. If you are molested, raped, beaten up, neglected, you obviously have the wrong program to hate yourself, because this is the program that you got. And I was telling my friend this morning is, I don't speak French because I wasn't programmed to speak French, but I speak Kikuyu, Kiswahili, and English because they gave me that program. So I speak those languages because that's the program that I got. So I did not decide what program I'd get, because I did not decide what family I'll be born into, what country I'll be born into, but they gave me that program. And that's the program that I use in life. If you are programmed to hate yourself because you are beaten up, neglected, raped, molested, you have been given the program to hate yourself. But that does not mean that you cannot change a program. It's just like a computer program or a language. If you feel like, oh, I want to learn Spanish, you can reprogram your mind to learn a different language, Spanish. If you are programmed to hate your body and yourself, you can create a different program, that helps you learn to love your body. It's just a matter of programming. We can even delete some programs, just like a computer. We can delete a self-hating program with things like NLP and give you a self-loving program. We can totally do that. I want to give you confidence that you don't have to go through the irreversible surgery that will haunt you for the rest of your life. If you're thinking about this, don't do it. We can see from everyone who's done it, it's a journey full of pain and regrets. If you love yourself, you don't want to live in regret. You don't want to make decisions that will make you regret. So don't do it. Choose another path. Choose another route. There's so many other ways and avenues that you can learn to love yourself as you are right now. There is a way out of this. So I hope that you find this video helpful. If you need help, if you need to hire me, you can find me at Monica Kanini1 on Instagram and DM me, or follow me on TikTok or Facebook. Again, my name is Kanini, and this is Heal Your Energy. And until next time, may God bless you.